How we doing, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast. We've got Yankees.
We've got Rangers.
We've got Brewers hitting Mets in the head.
And Pitt takes Bo Sox to the woodshed.
I love our nursery rhymes. Good stuff, Mr.
Right.
Zappy. With me, my co-host, Mr. Mike Zappy, out in San Antonio, Texas. How you doing, brother?
Doing good, man. It's another day studying for this exam for my job and doing real well.
And that is why we're doing this show right now. This is a pre-record, just to let you know, but it will be dropping at 8 in the morning Eastern time, so you'll be hearing this on your way into work. Oh, man, I got to say this, Zap. Good day to be a New York sports fan. My New York Rangers, big statement victory over the defending three-time consecutively Tampa Bay Lightning in the Eastern Conference. They've won 2 of the last 3 Stanley Cups. Oh, just beautiful. Tyler Mott, Chris Kreider, 2 goals each. Igor Shesterkin just on his game. Very pleased with the Rangers today. My New York Knicks, my other MSG team, nice road dub in Indy. We're going to hit them on the Battle of LA in a little while. That's the most important basketball game that was played today/yesterday. But we're going to start it off with Bernie Brewer. Bringing the Brooms. Brewers put on a hitting class. And I got to say, dude, it's early, but Max Scherzer is kind of pitching like ass. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on where do you want to start? I want to start with the Mets, and then we'll end it on a high note for the Brew Crew. New York Mets, man, I've kind of alluded to this before the season started, and I talked about legitimate concerns of mine. One of them, if I was a Met fan, would be you lost deGrom. We're going to hit on him today. You replaced him with Justin Verlander. Justin Verlander has not pitched for your team in a game that counts yet. He is on the injured list. You have Max Scherzer, who does not look like the guy he was last year. Kodai Senga, got to give him all the respect. He's not your typical rookie. He was playing at a very high level in Japan. But when you have Peterson and Carrasco essentially replacing Bassett and Taijuan Walker, that's a problem. I don't think the Mets have the depth that they had last year. Last year, they didn't have deGrom nor Scherzer for huge junctures of the year. And the Mets still managed to make the playoffs and almost won that division. And this year, like I said, it's father time to a level, and it's just getting older. Max Scherzer's risky at this stage of his career. And then when I see what deGrom did today, bouncing back from that bad first start, that's a mulligan. Notch it up like that, it's a mulligan. But deGrom looked good today. We're going to hit on the Rangers in just a bit. But those are my thoughts on the Mets right now. I don't – and then Edwin Diaz, of course, World Baseball Classic injury. I don't see the Mets as a team, unless if they do some fine-tuning with this roster this year, that's going to stay the course with a team like Atlanta. I just don't see it. And another thing, too, Yankees kicked Philly's ass. Your team kicked Philly's ass. And the Mets didn't take advantage of that. That's a problem, too. I mean, I know it's April, but they all count. That's all I got on the Mets. Your thoughts?
I mean, I think we knew that the season was already off to a really bad start when we see Edwin Diaz in the WBC and that injury. And then now we see this is the things that worried me about them was, it's the pitching. You gave up a couple of guys to go after a Justin Verlander.
Yes.
You give up deGrom for Verlander, like you said. You give up Bassett. And Senga's been good, so I'll give that. But it's just like things are not working for them right now. It's not time to sound the alarm yet because we're still early into the season.
It's super early, but it's just an observation, really.
It's definitely an observation. And it's one of those observations. It's just weird because it's not even just the Mets. It's also the Phillies, where we considered the NL East to be one of the cream of the crop, yet the Phillies have won one game. The Mets, they are having pitching woes with Verlander and Scherzer.
Absolutely.
But the Braves are holding it down. Yeah, I think the Mets it's gonna be a longer season than we think with them. That's what it kind of feels like.
I kind of share your vibe on that. You know, my longest standing friend in life, Richie Dorney, out in Long Island, the biggest Met fan you'll ever meet, devoted since day one. And, he was very critical of deGrom, saying, like, he loved him, don't get me wrong, but, it's like anything else. When you lose a player that you love, you got to kind of learn how to not like him for a little while until you can appreciate him again. And he flat out said, he flat out said it. He hit me up after our baseball draft. He's like, who took deGrom? Because they're fucked. I was like, I didn't remember in the moment. But right now, it doesn't seem that way. Now, this is a what have you done for me league, just like football, just like any sport, really. And right now, Verlander, the guy that you replaced deGrom with, has not pitched for you yet. Your co-ace looks nothing of the such. Yeah, you won 3 out of 4 against the Marlins, and then you got swept by the Brewers. That is not the start. That is not a good start. They're going to come home. Hopefully to something better. But right now, with the Mets, it's early, but I'm like, these are things that I'm going to notice. And you might see things with this team where they win 3 out of 4, lose 4 out of 6, win 3 out of 5, lose 4 out of 5. With the issues they have in that rotation, it is legitimately hard to keep a semblance of consistency. That's why when you look at aces like your man deGrom, my guy Cole, we're going to hit on them in a little bit, guys of that nature, the biggest reason why people go out and get these kind of people, get these kind of pitchers, is because they are slump crushers. They prevent elongated slumps. But the Brewers, man, the NL Central right now, kind of upstart. You got your Cardinals, who you expected are going to be the class of that division. But you have a Milwaukee team that I said in the preseason show, they need to be spenders at the deadline if they want to, keep that distance close enough to catching the Cardinals, making a playoff berth in a wild card, whatever have you. But in this division, now suddenly you have a talented Cubs team that has hope. They have a decent nucleus moving forward. More so than them, a team that's a little closer right now, those Pittsburgh Pirates, they have never had an issue of evaluating talent. They've had an issue of keeping it. But I get the vibe that this particular Pirate team is actually going to try to make some onus on keeping some of these core people. The Pirates have a good team right now, dude. They are not the same old Pirates from what I've seen in the first week. And I get it's the first week, but good baseball is good baseball. I like what I'm seeing from them in the early going. Sweeping the Boston Red Sox. Yeah. Pitt gives Bo Sox some splinters and a huge series sweep. I like it. I like it a lot. Anytime the Red Sox get beat, the Mets get swept, and the Red Sox get swept on the same day. And,
it's a good day for you.
And all 3 of my New York teams that are actually in their seasons win. The Giants couldn't win today. They're not playing. But my other 3 teams won. Hard not to be happy today.
Yeah, I believe it, man. And it's cool, too, because, as you were talking about the Mets, here I'm thinking about a season where you have teams like the Pirates.
Yes.
We're expecting the NL West to be stronger.
Right.
So
Diamondbacks are another one that's like,
yeah.
wait a minute.
And then you look at St. Louis is not off to the best start, but Milwaukee's having a great start. St. Louis is off to the normal start that they do every single year, but then you look at this young Pirates
team. They build that momentum over the course. They have mastered how to get through 162.
Oh, yeah, and that's been the tradition there.
Absolutely.
And so starts like this carry on. And this is not the type of year where I don't think the NL East now is going to get 3 teams into the playoffs. Luckily they have the Phillies
It's
there.
so funny how strongly we've been swayed so quickly. You bring up the Phillies. No Bryce Harper right now. Rhys Hoskins out for the year. Nola pitched a good game today. Cole was just better. The bats haven't exactly been flourishing just yet. Kyle Schwarber's still going to have a monster year. I believe that to be true. But when I look at them, I'm like, damn, they don't have that look in their eyes that they did over the course of the last 70 or so games last year that propelled them into the playoffs. They beat a good Cardinals team. They beat a good beat the Padres.
Padres, yeah.
Yeah, and then they gave the Houston Astros an honest fight. But it's challenging right now for them. Right now, it's challenging for the Phillies. But like I said, you got the Mets stepping in their own dog shit right now. The Braves are the Braves. Braves are going to win that division, barring mass injuries. And it's funny, we're only a week or so in, and I already feel this strong. Whereas like a week or two ago, we're doing preview shows. Oh, all 3 of them are getting in, and I said it on the last show. I think I overcommitted on Philly, and I will call myself out on making a mistake there, premature mistake on my evaluation of that.
Yeah, if we were, talking about the show, our prediction shows, I will say one thing right now, that if I would change one prediction, is this Braves team, which we knew they were going to be good, but this Brave team looks great. And
man, they look special. And it shouldn't surprise anyone. They won the World Series 2 years ago. Last year, they won the division, had a better record than the World Series team, but unfortunately died early. It happens. Mm-hmm. It happens. But I picked them to make the NLCS. I'm still sticking with my Padres pick to win the National League. I think they're just too damn talented not to. But, we shall see. And, it's been mixed reviews, speaking of the Padres, on the Manny Machado situation, if you want to elaborate on that for a moment.
Well, it was, let's see. It was yesterday's game. I know, I don't remember the exact details about the whole deal. I just know that he was up to bat. It was a pitching violation, ended up in a strike, and he didn't like the call. It shouldn't have been called, based on what I heard from reporters.
Yeah, I've kind of done my searching around, and basically, Machado has been known over the course of his career to be a bit of an asshole, and to be a bit of a hothead. So it was so funny when you hit me with the video, and I kind of watched it for myself, and I was like, you know what? He's right, but it couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. And, our friend Sergio, I bring him up often on our show. I love this man's hot takes. This man knows baseball. A true student of the game is Sergio. And he even made a point about a Machado when you look at the salary. Not just a Machado, but he made a great example. He said, when you look at his numbers and you look at his salary, why can't you get that for $6-7 million a year? I feel that looking at it, he makes an excellent point. I didn't agree with him per se on Judge. He kind of broke it down that Judge only, if you take the whole body of work, you're talking 70 RBIs a year. I get it, but I do want to say this. One of those seasons is a pandemic year that only was a 60-game season. That definitely hurts the average of the years. And the other one was one legitimate injury. That cost him some legit time. Past that, I agree with him often. Don't agree with him on Judge, though. But I am a Yankee fan. It is what it is. He's our captain. Speaking of my Yankees, Gerrit Cole, oh boy, he was on today. They're irritated with the umpire and his catcher, Jose Trevino. Trevino made it up with a 2-run blast. And it's so funny, man. This is such a new thing introduced to baseball with this pitching clock, that you're going to see these things happen to the best of them. It did happen to Gerrit Cole today. Fortunately, it didn't cost us a ball game. Gleyber Torres, man. Gleyber Torres, to my surprise, out of the gates, has been very valuable. Yankees suffered an injury to my favorite, Josh Donaldson. Pulled hamstring. It's going to be out a little while. I don't think it's going to be too bad. But I said this to my good friend Corey, who's a diehard Yankee fan. I said, buddy, I feel that similar to how I talked about Julius Randle and my Knicks, Josh Donaldson is a better defensive third baseman. He is their best defensive third base option. I will give him that. But I think overall, DJ LeMahieu is a better player. And when you have a guy like a LeMahieu who could play third, second, or first, you're not losing much defensively when he replaces whoever he does. And I also think it alleviates that issue of, man, do I start Glaber or do I start DJ? Because when Harrison Bader comes back and jumps into center field, Judge goes back to right, you still got your platoon in left, and Giancarlo is basically the guaranteed DH. Because you can't put him in left. He's too much of a liability. How do you fix left field? Your captain, Aaron Judge, has basically said, I'll do it if I have to, if it's better for the team. That alleviates all kinds of issues in left field. Keep Giancarlo in right, have Bader in center. But what I like about this Yankee roster, and I don't want to toot Aaron Boone's horn too much and give him too much credit, but early on, I feel that he's been pushing the right buttons with who to play and when. And it's a good problem to have when you have a guy that can play every infield position outside of short in DJ LeMahieu. Gleyber Torres in a prove-it kind of year, most definitely a prove-it kind of year. And then you have your man Anthony Volpe at short, who is playing like a veteran off the jump. He has great confidence, but not cockiness. Very humble to be in the show. But yes, that left field situation has to be figured, and it will. And what I like too, buddy, right now the Yankee pitching, in the absence, you're missing Canley in the bullpen. You're missing Rodon. You're missing Severino. But what I love is that you're not missing a beat in terms of team ERA. Guys are pitching. We had Brito come up, pitched his ass off, sent back down to Scranton, and he'll be back in time to start again. When you don't need that fifth starter early on, that you'll bring them back. But right now, Yankees are clicking. 2 series wins. I feel that we should be 5-1. Unfortunately, we are only 4-2. But a good start out of the gates. I think we should have swept the Giants. That game 2 was very aggravating. But it's baseball.
Yeah, I like the way. There's certain things I'm liking about this Yankee team. I'm wondering is Giancarlo Stanton, what are we gonna get out of him? That's the one thing I'm looking for.
Yeah, he's got to be healthy, bud.
And then I look at your pitching. I expected your pitching to be really good. I thought you guys had one of the best pitching rotations. I think most people did. So.
And the bullpen's pretty good too. I'm not going to say necessarily that they're better than the Astros just yet. That will be proven over time if we can be in the same breath. But even if you're the second best bullpen in baseball, still a good place to be, and they could definitely knock the door to be a top bullpen.
Yeah. But, while I could sit here and praise the Yankees pitching and hitting, let me talk about my Rangers hitting and pitching, man. I'm very surprised that the Rangers have started off the year 4-2.
I'm not that surprised.
I'm not, but I am because we were facing the Phillies, the team that just represented the National League in the World Series, and so when we sweep them, it's like, all right, good. The things that's worrying me is what we saw yesterday. When the bats are not going, we're going to probably lose. The pitching has still been an issue. While deGrom, he got rocked early in his first start. Eovaldi, he pitched pretty good. Martin Perez pitched phenomenal. He looks like,
and we both agreed coming into the year that he had to elevate his game.
Yeah, and it was one start, but he looked exactly how he looked in the WBC. Let's put it that way. So I'm excited to see what he's going to do this year. Heaney, not so much. But the hitting.
Yeah, we've had the experiment with him. Yeah, I know about that guy.
But I love our offense right now. I love what I'm seeing from Marcus Semien, and Corey Seager is actually having a little bit of a down from where I thought he was going to have. But all in all, Josh Young has looked great.
Once that weather gets real warm, check in for Seager. He'll be doing.
I'm not too worried about it now. I'm loving Josh Young, man. I know he was one of my picks to be the AL Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, he was one of your shout-outs for sure.
I like the way he has looked. I'm excited about this season, man. And with the way the Astros look right now, I think this division is wide open because the Angels, they're
the
still
Altuve
probably
effect, dude. The Altuve effect is a real thing. He's not necessarily the MVP candidate type player that he was 5 or 6 seasons ago, but in a massive way, he's still that team's heartbeat. And I do want to make one more mention. You mentioned the Phillies. They did defeat the Yankees in the middle game of that series, which prevented them from making baseball history. They would have been 0-5 and made history as the first team to do that after representing their league in a World Series, being, the runner-up. I also got to shout out this guy that I'm wearing, Mr. Gerrit Cole, number 45. Always a good pitcher. I think that whenever it comes to having a great pitcher, and you're going to get used to it with deGrom in your case, I think we take these guys for granted to a certain level of how good they really are. But I got to say that this particular year, I see a different kind of fire in Gerrit Cole. I saw it in spring training. We're seeing it now going into the season. And he just looks locked in. I think spring training, the way he was locked in helped. And your guy who you just alluded to, I believe that the World Baseball Classic playing in high leverage pressure situations benefited him coming into April. Because I actually think that the intensity of that tournament versus what you're going to deal with in April is probably more calm to him. And his confidence has got to be very high. And, pitching, just like kickers in the NFL, and you can relate to it with your guy, Mar, it is so mental, a huge part of it. All these guys know how to kick. All these guys know how to pitch. They didn't get there that far if they didn't. But definitely one of the 2 most mental positions in any particular sport, NFL kicker or major league pitcher. But, you have a lot to be excited about over there, Zappy. Your Texas Rangers, very talented team.
It is. And, we saw it last year when they would put up runs. And they were one of the best AL hitting teams, even Major League Baseball hitting teams, but it was just the pitching. The pitching is much improved. This is the deGrom I'm expecting. You were right on it when you predicted deGrom to get rocked in Game 1, but he responded a great way in Game 2.
It's hard, and you're playing a team that knows you so well because of all your Met years. So I felt that it was not the best matchup for deGrom. They meet again in a different scenario, or whenever they meet again, it'll be different, I think. But, he dusted that off no issue today, man.
Yeah, definitely. So it's exciting, man. I want to see how Eovaldi looks tomorrow and go from there. But I'm really liking it. I respect
him, man. Former Yankee, as well as a former Red Sox, as well as a former Tampa Bay Ray. That guy's a good pitcher. I was pissed when we let him go, especially when Boston got him. I was none pleased when Boston had him for a while. But Eovaldi is a gamer, bro.
Yeah, he really is. It's going to be a fun season, man. I love what I'm seeing now. Watching the Yankees video the other day where the introduction.
You got a taste of the bleacher creatures, yeah.
Oh yeah, and I've seen it before on TV, but
it's different.
Just watch it.
When you watch a video and that really see how you have your leader getting everybody else revved up. It's a cool little tradition, and I love how he overstated. We don't do the damn wave here. He wanted to make that clear.
Oh, yeah, I love that.
There's certain intricacies okay, so the 9/11 game from 2021, 20th anniversary of 9/11, greatest rescue mission in American history on our soil, world history, essentially. I had the pleasure of sitting with the 7 line, New York Met fans, and I'm like the one dude in a Navy Yankee shirt or NYPD shirt. I was rocking my Yankee hat. And I'm like, golly, bro, if shit doesn't work tonight, I might have to It was intense, man. It was intense. But I looked at that game like New York won. But the reason I bring up the 7 line is because they are essentially the Mets version of the Bleacher Creatures. And all you see is just a sea of orange. They all have like their personalized orange shirts. And, it's cool. And that's one of the cool things about going to different ballparks is that you kind of learn the little traditions that each ballpark has. Because as some things never change or stay the same over time in baseball, that's one thing that is pretty cool when you go to these different ballparks and you see the different cultural fan things, like part of being a fan in that culture of the franchise. I think it's pretty cool. I really do. And it's one of the more enjoyable things, especially when you're a visitor, because, I like to talk my shit. Shohei Ohtani, while we keep it on pitching there, we were talking on pitchers. I already made it clear that he's probably going to win the MVP because he's, Brett got me fired up, man. Brett has not been on the show since he got me so heated up, ready to go on. Shohei Ohtani is a phenomenal talent. This generation's Babe Ruth. The man plays for an underwhelming Angels team in my eyes. They did get a W today against a very good Seattle Mariner team. But making backwards history. Now, you told me this. Well, you lied to me initially. You're like, oh, he hit 3 grand slams and
17 strikeouts.
17 guys. I was like, no, he didn't, Zappy. My phone would have blown up. But at any rate, let's tell the viewers.
37 perfect games in one day.
Let's tell the viewers. He got traded and still got MVP votes in the other league. Okay, tell the viewers what this guy did.
Well, obviously 2023 is the year of trial and error with the implementation of the pitch clock. And he is officially the MVP. The MVP. This is the only guy that has ever accomplished this. The only guy. Babe Ruth couldn't even do it. He is the only guy to have a pitching violation as a pitcher and as a hitter in the same game.
I want to investigate this. I might have to take a walk in there after our show, throw on my MLB app, and watch the game in its entirety. Do you know what inning this happened in? I could find out. But at any rate, I do want to see this just for the historical value of it. Like, for instance, the Field of Dreams game, the inaugural one, when your boy that you mentioned, Heaney, really performed at an absurd level for us. And I mean that in every way sarcastically.
Every pitcher in that game did.
Zach Britton serving one up to Josh Donaldson's bestie, Tim Anderson. Tim Anderson playing the hero after Giancarlo Stanton and Aaron Judge both went deep in that game. But I turned all my notifications off, or at least I thought I did. And the one that I forgot to turn off was the Yes app. So I'm getting to my truck after like a 12-hour day, and I'm like, I got it recorded. I'm going to watch the game. And literally the second I turned on my truck, I got the alert that the Yankees had just lost. I was like, God damn it. I wanted to watch this game in its entirety. But you know what? I watched it anyway just for the historical value of it. And, I beg to question, because I'm bringing up history, was Ohtani padding the stats because he just – this guy loves filling out stat sheets. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got to look into the credibility of this. Did he do this to make sure that he can another notch? I know, but it's in good humor. I think the world of him as a ball player, but I do like getting a laugh out of this because, like I said, after my man hits 62 and misses the Triple Crown by only a couple of percentage points, thanks to Xander Bogaerts, I'm like, dude, where are his votes? And I will argue until I'm blue in the face that I still think he's a better offensive player than Ohtani. I ruffled some feathers on our YouTube channel. I had a couple of guys, I don't know if he was an Angels fan or just fan of the game, that was like, yeah, but the pitching aspect. I was like, I get it, bro. I'm like, my guy's pretty versatile too. playing center field like it's okay. The Battle of LA, keeping it on the left coast. The LA Clippers are essentially, the Lakers are like banana peeling out of non-playing. They're going to be stuck in a play-in, it looks like. Big statement. That's the Lakers city. They share the same arena. But today, the Clippers put it on them.
Man, it's crazy because, obviously I was keeping a really close eye on this one for a couple of reasons.
Okay.
One, the Lakers, with the late burst they had to finish off the year and work their way to get in. Two, the Warriors trying to hold on to that final spot along with the Clippers.
Right.
And so now, after tonight, going into the weekend with 2 games left for each team, this is what's at stake right now. We currently have the Los Angeles Clippers and the Golden State Warriors tied at 42 and 38. The Clippers have the tiebreaker over the Warriors. The Lakers are 41 and 39. Yeah,
we talked about Golden State struggles on the road.
But now this is where it gets interesting. The Lakers are 41 and 39, a game behind both the Clippers and the Warriors. The Warriors, I'll actually leave them for less. The Clippers' schedule to finish off the year at home against Portland, and then they have to travel to Phoenix. The Lakers at home versus Phoenix, at home versus Utah. The Warriors on the road at Sacramento, your division winners, the number 3 seed in the Western Conference, and on the road at Portland, possibly no Dame time.
Okay, check it out. Warriors go 1-1, and the Lakers go 1-1. I'm going to call that now.
I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. The Warriors are going to win the last 2 games of the season for 2 reasons, major reasons. They have everything to play for.
No, I get it. But Sacktown has an opportunity to really kick them.
No, but the Kings, they have nothing to play for. They are not playing their starters.
Okay, but check it. Just because they are going to play other people does not necessarily mean that Golden State gets a road dub. It has been such a hindrance to their seeding this year because they can't win on the road. Not saying they won't win that game, given what you just shared with me, but you never know, dude. I mean, MVP candidate out in Denver. We were like, what? They all played? And the Rockets, the 20-win Rockets put it on them. Because this juncture of the year is similar to baseball, like when you get your 40-man expanded roster and you got a lot of these kids that aren't quite qualifying as rookies, because usually that'll happen the next year if they get called up, kind of like a Derek Jeter, 95 appearance. Point is, these kids are just so friggin' hungry to be in the show. And that's when, if you're playing for a division title, things of that nature, and you run into some of these teams, and it's a long season for guys that play every day. And you run into these kids that are ready. I saw it happen last year with my Yankees against the Cincinnati Reds, one of the worst teams in the league, but they caught us at the right time. I saw the Nationals do it to a couple of teams that were contending last year when some of their kids were coming up. It happens. And in this case, talking about the NBA, it's difficult to turn it on, so to speak. And that's why you get some weird upsets towards the end of an NBA season. And especially in this era of NBA basketball, where everything is so deeply predicated on rest minutes and things like that. Like in baseball, they got the bullpen budget,
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, I think it's going to be good, man. But just the fact that the Clippers have to play and the Lakers have to play the Suns, I think gives an advantage. I think the Lakers can very easily win their last 2 games, and they end up being the 6th seed. Actually, they would be the 5 seed. If the Warriors lose 1 game, here's the sad thing: is if the Warriors go 1-1, the Lakers go 2-0,
Yep.
and the Clippers go 1-1. The Clippers and the Lakers will be the 5 and 6, and the Warriors drop out because the tiebreaker, the Clippers and Lakers have it over Golden State. So,
but Golden State would still have a home game in the play-in.
They'd have it in the play-in, yes, but that doesn't.
But it's scary because it's not like it was a couple of years. It's one and done. That's it.
Yeah, it's one and done.
And I'll be honest, it should be that way because if you want to expand, I don't like that whole have a mini series. No. I like the one and done. Normally, I don't. Normally, I like that kind of scenario. I think it's fair.
Yeah, I do too. And the reason why I bring up with the Warriors, why I think they're going to be playing real good, is because they don't want to risk that chance at being the number 7 seed. Yes, they'll win that play-in, but then that means they have to face Memphis. They don't want to face Memphis.
That's not an easy task, and I've already said this. Similar to what I said about Julius Randle. I keep referencing Julius Randle. There's other guys too. But I actually like the way Memphis plays as a cohesive unit in Ja Morant's absence. I'll be honest. I think that hell of a talent. I'm not going to question that. But it's like anything else. At times you become a distraction. I don't think Randall's a distraction. I just think Randall takes a lot of crappy shots. But okay, I'll throw one at you. They're a better defensive team when he's not in there. Yeah. I say that he reminds me of the human highlight reel. Dominique Wilkins. Very much so, Ja's game reminds me of Neek. And what's the big hole in each their games? I like watching both of them play, but neither one of them are the best of defenders. I loved Melo, even watching him at Syracuse. Obviously, as a Knick. Ooh, I just remembered something. I got to share this with you. So yesterday, before I go to bed, and you know how I've been on Colin Cowherd's ass after that stupidity that he shot at Michael Jordan. He did it again. Colin Cowherd, I don't know who the dude that was with him. I do not know who that was. But basically, the guy is co-signing Colin Cowherd, telling him that Julius Randle has already had a better New York Knicks career than Carmelo Anthony. And the fellow who did the YouTube video was like, don't you get so pissed when people talk sports and get paid for it on a network like an ESPN and they don't know what the fuck they're talking about, basically? And I was like, yes, speak to me. and when he loaded up Melo's stats versus Julius Randle's stats as New York Knicks, this is not the whole body of work, specifically members of the Knicks. I'm like, dude, this isn't even a comparison. Not even a comparison. I was like mind blown at how stupid that was to say. And it's like, guys, you have the resources to get this crap right. How you're on national television? Like, do better. Do better, Colin Cowherd. Dumbass. I said it. Dumbass.
I didn't see it, so
after that Jordan hatred thing, I've lost a lot of respect for that dude. And he's not the first guy to hate on Jordan. But there has to be some.
You lost it when you did. Most people.
But there has to be a responsibility for this. It's like Kendrick Perkins got the boot for being a dumbass. When's Colin Cowherd when are they gonna start evaluating him and be like, dude, you suck? Far removed from the golden era of the Keith Olbermanns, the Dan Patricks, the late great Stuart Scott. So far removed from that phenomenal era of ESPN. Now it's like it's almost like watching the news. It's like everybody has a narrative. Nobody makes sense. Nobody says anything that's to the fact. Oh, okay, rant over. Jalen Carter playing a risky game. You brought this to my attention. My initial reaction, if I am paraphrasing what I said, I was like, oh, it's a Dion move. What I meant by that was Jalen Carter only wants to talk to the top 10 teams drafting. Despite his off-the-field incidents and issues, the legalities, etc., he feels that he's a top 10 pick, and he is throwing like shade to the wind that he, according to pretty much every reputable source that covers these drafts, NFL people alike, that he's going to drop. Hell of a player. Hell of a player. What are your thoughts on this, Zap?
The football player, Jalen Carter, this is a generational talent. He is. He is, last year, the University of Georgia had 2 outstanding defensive tackles get drafted in the first round, and they both said, Jalen Carter's better than us. And that's in Davis that got drafted by the Eagles, and I can't remember Wyatt, the other one. So anyways, on the field, phenomenal. Yes, by all means, only talk to the top 5 teams in the draft, Okay. But when you have body cam footage that has been released a couple days ago that after what the University of Georgia had to go through when they lost 2 individuals, and to find out that he not only lied, but he was there. He was one of the cars racing.
Yes.
And then he's on video denying it.
You're opening all kinds of issues when it comes to what kind of character is this, because that's a huge investment when you pick so high. Like, I remember something similar happened to the New York Giants with DeAndre Baker. Ultimately, DeAndre Baker was exonerated of what they thought. And, the Giants made a knee-jerk decision and said, there's too much drama. No, we're going to rid our hands of this. He was able to get back on his feet at the time with the Kansas City Chiefs. But the point is, Laramie Tunsil, just to put things in perspective with the gas mask thing, I think his stepdad released that. I always think it's pretty wacky how these things always get released right before you're about to get drafted. Not diluting the situation that happened. That's serious business what happened with Georgia. The Laramie Tunsil thing, in the world we live in now, who gives a shit? But
most people thought that back when it happened too.
Yeah, but it wasn't as accepted, so to speak.
No,
what are we talking about? A decade ago?
But was it even that long ago? I mean, Laramie Tunsil just got paid again.
Was that the same draft? That was the draft where my Giants took the great Eli Apple. Way to go, guys.
So 2016?
15, I believe.
15. Anyways, but yeah, this bothers me because it puts not your character, but your integrity. Are you trustworthy? Are you the kind of guy, and to deny visits to the other 22 teams, what's to say a team sitting in the teens doesn't want to trade up for you because they're going to start seeing you fall? A guy that should easily go as the number 3 pick in the draft, and that being to the Cardinals because they already have a quarterback. That's what the assumption another team doesn't trade up to get a quarterback.
When Moss came out, and there were character issues surrounding him. And you're talking Randy Moss. There are people that believe he's the greatest receiver of all time. As long as Jerry Rice played, I don't think anybody's above him. But the point is, you can make a logical argument that Randy Moss is the second greatest receiver that ever played that great game.
I don't think it's a question at all. But yeah, and we saw how far he dropped. He was expecting to go 8 to Dallas.
Yes.
And we go Greg Ellis. Now he's expecting. I think a lot of people are expecting that if he
Minnesota had to get something back after that Herschel Walker trade. They had to win something against you.
Well, they did, but I think most teams, or maybe he's expecting that if he falls to the Eagles at 10, he's not going past that, which would be scary because you're now teaming up Davis and him. But you cannot decline interviews to all 32 teams because when you as a player start to fall, and if there's a team like my Dallas Cowboys who have a history of signing players with character issues.
Absolutely.
What's to say that Dallas, knowing we need a one technique bad, wouldn't go all in? We've already seen the deals they've done, but if he's sitting there at 13 or 15, why wouldn't they say we need that one technique guy in our defense to help with the run game? And they trade up for him. You can't deny other teams.
And you
have this on your resume now.
You know what it is too, bro? It's not the same thing as Ruggs because Ruggs was drunk and that was vehicular homicide. But the thing is that people are still very wounded over that situation. Fans, owners, peers, guys that play in the league, families, of course, that goes without saying. No winners there. The Ruggs family suffers. The family of that young woman suffers. But the point is that when you're talking about a huge investment in a young person that's going to be life-changing and potentially, you say generational talent, I say generational wealth for family. This is huge. This is a big deal. It is a huge investment. And it's like, hate the draft, love the draft. I said on the last show, you got to make the decision, the correct one. And we've seen it time and time again, what happens when you don't make the right choice, whether it be the player as an NFL guy or the team that made the mistake of trusting that they can groom the young man into being a grown man. You know what I'm saying? So the boy to a man, so to speak. Huge thing. I agree with you, Zappy. This is not Deion Sanders completely, because Deion basically told my team, the Giants, as well as others, but specifically he told the Giants, because the Giants did approach him. He was like, why are you guys even talking to me? I'm going to be gone. I'm going to be an afterthought by the time you guys get on the board.
Yeah.
And, one of the guys that the thing is, it's like this. If you're going to talk it, you got to walk it. And Deion definitely walked it. When people talk about the greatest defensive player of all time, I hear Lawrence Taylor very often. But I must admit that in a second place term of who I normally hear, it actually does happen to be Deion, because of his ability to cut off the field, to be a three-way guy in terms of returning punts, kicks, as well as being that shutdown corner. They did experiment with him at receiver. It never really came to fruition like that. But he didn't have to do that.
What are you talking about? He had an amazing catch in Super Bowl 30 for 54 yards, I believe it was.
Was it really 54 yards?
It was something along there. I think 49, 54, something around that area. I'll check it out.
Well, I mean, then again, David Tyree was a natural wide receiver, and he and Deion probably have comparable catch numbers of their two Super Bowl seasons contributing on the offense. So I'll leave that be. But yeah, man, NFL draft coming up soon. Very exciting time for fans. I will say this. I know how good that kid is. I hope he grows up. I hope that he has the right people in his corner. You never want to see young people throw away God-given talent. You want him to be contrite. You want him to grow up. No question about it. And you feel for the situation as it is. They can barely celebrate their great accomplishment. That happens literally on the heels of that. So, it's sad, and it's not a new story. It's a new character. It's a similar story. And, you're like, damn, again, man, come on, guys. Don't piss it down the drain. I think of 47 yards. Thank you for texting me that. Hey, you were close. You were close. Anything else you want to speak on before we fly out of here?
I was frozen this whole time, so if I wasn't, my bad. It was 47 yards.
It's okay if you were frozen, because I was talking and I was making all kinds of sense. And it looked like you were listening.
Oh, I was. It clearly wasn't.
As long as it looked like it. You could have not even told me that, and I wouldn't know. That's great.
No, I'm just excited, man. Final weekend of the NBA, baseball, fresh. We're going well. Draft is 3 weeks away.
Yeah, mock draft show to come. You already set me up with one of the mock draft simulators that you want me to dive into and start prepping on. I know our guy Quentin Moore, as well as Idris, great college football fans, and they're going to be great contributors to mock draft talk, things that our teams need, things of that nature. I would love to get Brett on to see if we could get him 2 years in a row, commit to who's going to improve. Because last year it was Derek Carr. He was a year off. I do think Derek Carr is going to have a nice year with the Saints. This year, I want to get him on camera saying that Mac Jones is going to improve. We kind of just got to lure him in on that. And then we're going to hold him to it. This is a man that talked about Eli Apple.
This is a guy that talks about people rooming together, man. Come on.
Living together, rooming together. This is also the guy that called Pete Davidson Pistol Pete when that little oh boy, when that was going on with Kim K and the great Yeezy. Oh my. Anything else? Let me think. Anything else? Oh, I do want to say this. A big shout out to Idris, aka Bosco from the Bronx, as well as Chanel, aka Coco, on a phenomenal show today that I witnessed for Casual Convo. Really enjoyed the show front to back, watched the majority of it. And the thing I love about that show being on a Wednesday, it motivates me to want to like get my stuff going. And that's a huge contributing factor why I chose to do a show tonight. And I was super happy that you were able to join in tonight. I know Idris wanted to, but I'm sure he's pretty wiped. That was a pretty intense show, an awesome one. If you haven't, definitely check out the Casual Convo show on Hand Radio. Good friends of our show. They're doing great things over there. And if you haven't, make it a point to please like and subscribe to the channel, the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast on YouTube. Man, good time to be a sports fan, man. So much going on. We got the NBA playoffs. We got the NFL draft coming up. Shows galore. And we have our movie shows that are still going to be coming out. Not going to lie. Got to revisit some of them and make sure that we got everybody that advanced because we had a lot of fun those couple of nights. Whew. I think that's all I got to say. Great show tonight, Zappy. I really enjoyed this.
That was fun.
Sure was. Until next time, he's Zappy. I am Richie, and we appreciate you guys watching as always. Have a great Thursday, because that's when you guys will be seeing this. And this has become his thing now.
Let's go Rangers.
Just emerges. Rangers are looking good, buddy. I got to give you props on that. Let's go Yanks. Yankees and Rangers, both looking pretty good. Early going. Got to love April. They all